Good morning. On behalf of the Alliance of Women in Workers' Compensation, I want to welcome you to today's webinar. Today's webinar is entitled Financial Acumen and Understanding Your Business. This is a pre-recorded expert panel session and is being broadcast today, October 5th, 2023. Before we get started, I would like to thank our corporate sponsors for their support on hosting events such as this. They support us not because they want their logos up on a screen, but they support our cause, which is to effect positive change in the workers' compensation industry through networking, supporting, mentoring, and collaboration. The Alliance is inclusive of all professionals in workers' compensation, regardless of career stage, with the belief that we can all learn from and support each other. Our theme this year is Together Towards Tomorrow. Be sure to head to the Alliance website for all upcoming events. We are excited to be hosting webinars, collaboration sessions, and in-person events throughout the year. Check back on our website for all registration details. And if you cannot make one of our virtual or in-person events, don't worry. All events are recorded and are on demand for our followers. Our book club is in full swing. Quarter 4 books include The Resiliency Revolution by Jenny Evans and The Execution Factor by Kim Perrell. Head to the website to join the discussion. The Alliance grew so much last year as we launched several new chapters. Please be sure to connect with your local ambassador for all upcoming events in your area to connect with the Alliance. If you would like more details about the Ambassador Program, check out a replay of our January panel where we provided details about the program and how to get involved. Change is preceded by trust. It is through acceptance and inclusion that trust will be formed and positive impact will occur. The Alliance is committed to creating a safe space in the workers' compensation industry for women of diverse backgrounds and experiences through a shared culture that integrates various perspectives. This is who we are and who we will be. The time to be better and do better is now. The Alliance understands that diversity is a journey that will take time to make meaningful changes for our organization, our followers, and our supporters. We will be intentional in making progress along our key pillars of change. Turning to today's webinar, join our expert panel to gain valuable insights into enhancing your financial acumen and understanding your business. Through interactive discussions and real-life examples, we will dive into the intricacies of financial management, budgeting, and optimizing profitability. Moreover, discover the power of networking and its impact on business growth as we share effective strategies to build strong professional relationships. Learn how to calculate and maximize your ROI to make informed decisions that drive success. This panel promises to equip you with the knowledge and skills necessary to take your business to new heights, ensuring a brighter and more prosperous future. Do not miss this opportunity to elevate your financial expertise and gain competitive edge in today's dynamic marketplace. Today's session is moderated by Nicole Vargas, Senior Vice President and CFO of Ringler Management Services. And our panel of incredibly accomplished women include Lynn DeMauro Clark, Settlement Consultant for Ringler, Michelle Del Nino, Senior Business Development Manager at Amitros, Diane Duhamel, Partner at McGann, Barlett and Brown, and Meg Sweeney, AVP of Claims and Alternative Markets for Arch Insurance. Although this is a pre-recorded session, please utilize the chat feature throughout the session with your thoughts and to engage with your fellow members. This is a topic that everyone can relate to, and we know there will be a lot of dialogue, which we love to see. Please note that due to some technical difficulties, today's moderator will be off screen, but you will still be able to get a very impactful conversation from the panelists who will appear in the webinar. Thank you so much for the time you're spending with us today, and we truly hope you enjoy this webinar.
Good day, everyone. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you joining us today as we delve into the realm of financial acumen. Our discussions will revolve around the crucial topics of understanding your return on investment, ROI, and the profound influence that branding and networking can exert on your business. Throughout this session, we aim to engage in a thoughtful conversation, exploring ways to optimize profitability and unveiling the latent potential within branding and networking. Furthermore, we will dissect the concept of ROI and its pivotal role in fostering business growth. I am Nicole Vargas, and I have the wonderful opportunity to moderate this panel featuring an exciting group of women with diverse backgrounds. Our esteemed panelists will not only share their invaluable experience, but also provide us with the effective strategies to navigate this financial landscape. I'm delighted to introduce our distinguished panelists for today's discussion. Lynn Clark, Lynn is a settlement consultant and business owner at Ringler with over 30 years of experience in the structured settlement industry, specializing in casualty claims and workers' comp nationwide. Lynn believes in structured settlements and the benefits that they can provide to those settling personal injury claims. Diane Duhamel. Diane is a partner at McGann, Bartlett and Brown LLC, where she has represented employers and insurance carriers before the Workers' Compensation Commission for over 35 years. She also manages the business aspects of her legal practice. Diane has learned over the years that in order to maintain a successful law practice, you have to also maintain a well-managed and fiscally responsible business. Meg Sweeney. Meg is an experienced claim professional with 30 years in risk management and claims administration. She resides in Connecticut and currently serves as AVP of Claims and Alternative Market Insurance with Arch Insurance. She understands the significance of how claim handling decisions impact favorable outcome for all parties. Michelle Del Nino. Michelle is the Senior Business Development Manager at Ametros Financial Corporation. She has been with Ametros for nearly a decade, focusing on educating channel partners and injured individuals. Michelle believes professional administration to be a valuable part to the post-settlement experience by keeping things simple, making the injured parties feel secure and support after settlement. So without further ado, let's enhance our financial acumen and drive our business toward greater success together. Let's start with Lynn, who first of all was instrumental in putting this panel together, and I just want to extend a huge thank you for that. So thank you, Lynn.
Thanks,
So
Nicole.
as a business owner, what steps do you take to secure your bottom line?
Well, first and foremost, the first step to any business, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're a partner in a law firm or you're a valuable member of a corporation, is planning. So the first step I took when I started my business nearly 25 plus years ago with Ringler was planning. And I'm talking about planning everything from budgeting. And I think budgeting is a huge thing because I think a lot of new people who are starting up new businesses fall short on budgeting, whether preparing a budget or following a budget. And that could be the death of a business very quickly. So budgeting, managing personnel, talking about where your business is coming from. What does my week look like? What does my month look like from a marketing perspective? So I plan, but I'm not so rigid in my planning that I can't pivot. So each year, and whether you want to call it a business plan or a marketing strategy, each year I sit down and I create a new plan for the next year because things change. And we were talking earlier as the panel was getting together about COVID and how much that's changed our world. Well, clearly, my business plan the year before COVID hit involved a lot of in-person attendance. Now it does not involve as much in-person attendance. So I had to pivot. Being a business owner means being able to pay attention to the climate of your business and being able to pivot accordingly. But equally as important as planning is prioritizing. So while we all love the happy hours and the dinners out and the drinks with clients, and I totally love that, sometimes we have to stop and pay attention to our business metrics. And I do that on a regular basis. Where is my business coming from? What do my expenditures look like? Am I outpacing my revenue with expenditure? So I stop and I take a look at what I've been doing. And if I don't see that the needle is shifting on my revenue, it's not going up, it's staying stagnant, maybe I make a decision at that time to, rather than being out of the office doing marketing to existing clients on a regular basis, I shift to staying in the office and marketing to new potential clients. So again, it's an evolving process, but you have to have that process in place. Most importantly, however, is staffing and having the right people behind you who support your business philosophies, who encourage growth internally while you're out doing your thing. Coming into this industry as an entrepreneur 30 years ago, I came into the industry about 26 years ago. I became a business owner at Ringler. There's a lot of things I didn't know. My strengths did not focus on marketing and sales. I was a claims adjuster. And so I had the communication skills, I had the data, compilation skills. So I had a lot of strengths, but where my weaknesses lied were in the sales and marketing. I had to teach myself that stuff through mentoring, through other members at Ringler who helped mentor me. But I had to also make sure I staffed my office with people who can support me in those roles, who are good with my clients, who are following my revenue trails and making sure I'm getting paid on commissions on the cases that I am placing. So again, it's an evolving process, and every year is new steps I'm taking to keep evolving.
Meg, what do you do in your role to ensure that monies are properly allocated in the course of business?
Making sure that a case is properly reserved is probably one of the most important roles I have as a claims professional. Here at Arch, I'm in the captive world, and the captive is a different, unique insurance tool that is out there that a lot of people don't understand. And case reserves can make or break a captive by how we evaluate the exposure. If we under evaluated exposure, if that's just as detrimental as over evaluating the exposure. So it's really important for me to get all the information, investigate a claim thoroughly so that we can properly put the reserves on the file, which roll up to actuary and how they price the business and how the captive is successful. So it's extremely important for us to make sure that we're evaluating the cases and we're putting the best number on a file so that we get the best results.
Michelle, how do you make decisions when allocating budgeted funds for marketing opportunities?
So it's a little different than being a business owner. However, I treat my job as a business. So every year, kind of to touch on what Lynn said, you have to kind of plan. So every year, obviously, I have a list of conferences or events or things that I would like to plan to market. However, if there have been in the past a conference or an event that maybe I didn't feel like it was, the best investment of my time, then, it's something that I actually have to think about for the next time that it happens. Sometimes, in my world, there'll be a few different types of conferences for the same group or an event for the same group. I have to actually figure out, what's my audience at this event. And another thing too is the marketing piece of this, the happy hours or the lunches, things like that. Do I want to spend most of my time on the people that I already know and that understand my business as well? Yes, of course. I want to, tell them all that I can. However, for the people that don't necessarily understand, my company's purpose, sometimes I find that it might be a little bit better to allocate some of that time to that group. So, again, budgeting, it's the same, but it's a little bit different. I have to budget more of my time than my funds, although I do have a budget because I work for a company. Um, but it's more about my time and what my time is worth to my company.
Diane, as a partner, how important is understanding and managing expenditures when building your business profile?
Um, to say it's very important is an understatement, simply because we are so dependent on clients coming to us and maintaining those relationships. And based upon the fact that it waxes and wanes depending on what the companies need or what their litigation needs are, you have to be cognizant of the bottom line. And one of the things that we find is where we put our funds is to is sort of echoing what Lynn had said with regard to staffing. Staffing is very important to us, but it also can become an very expensive part of your business or your practice. For us, we have long-term staff, and in certain ways that's a wonderful thing to have because they know what they're doing. They can do things without supervision at times because they're so experienced. But as those experienced staff stay with you, they end up costing an awful lot of money because of not only salary increases, but also health insurance and other factors that go into if you have a retirement plan, that type of thing. So we're always looking at the bottom line and paying attention to what it's costing us every year for all those ancillary benefits. Another place where we find that it's very important to maintain your expenses is with regard to your dealing with the vendors you have to bring into your business in order to get everything you need done. The IT people that support your computer system, the copy people, the scanners, all of these are separate vendors that we have to bring into our business in order to maintain the activity that we are required to do. And those things can cost you an awful lot of money as well. So we're trying to always look at what are you agreeing to? What service are they supposed to provide? Are they providing it timely? And are the vendors doing what you need them to do? Because the other place where you lose time and waste money is having staff with downtime and not being able to perform the jobs that you ask them to or have them do. It's also a problem when you are trying to have support staff constantly on the phone or getting the people that you need to do the work to repair equipment or get the equipment into the office on a timely basis. That's also a lot of downtime, and it can also involve the partners. So when you were looking at good service contracts with good people that show up and do how we treat our clients, which is we provide a service and we want to make certain that we're getting the service for our business as well. So those are things that, in echoing, again, you always look at the bottom line and try to control your costs. Sometimes it's a little harder, but we try to focus on keeping the management of our business as tight as possible. We never expend monies that we don't have. And we always are very cautious to not overextend our lifestyle so that we're incurring additional costs in the course of running the practice.
And just to piggyback on that, how does the return on investment play a role when you're building your business plan for the year? Diane.
We, law firm is kind of an interesting thing. It really continues by the fact that the investment you make is in the people you bring into your firm. And so we always are looking for people that are of like mind and have the same work ethic and are looking long-term to become part of our business. You can bring in a lawyer that is an absolute scholar, but they're not somebody that can deal with people. They're not people that are looking at the bottom line. They're not, they focus so much on one aspect of their job that they are not able to contribute as a whole. So we're constantly looking at our return of investment with people who will continue on what we have established to date. So when we bring in people, our new lawyers, even support staff, we are looking for people who are like-minded, that are looking at long-term goals, not immediate return on what their long-term goal is for them, and that we try to hire people that are constantly going to help us evolve the business from being not only a good lawyer supporting the client's needs and getting them, the litigation that needs to be done completed, but also to have them be aware of the running of the business and how their role contributes to that in the long term.
Lynn, as a business owner, how does the return on investment data play a role when making decisions to allocate expenditures for marketing opportunities?
Well, it definitely plays a role. And I'm going to piggyback a little bit on what Michelle said. We're always striving to make sure that our budgeted money for marketing is allocated for the best return. However, that being said, I feel as though my return on investment evaluation at the end of each year is three-pronged. So I look at the literal return on investment. Am I marketing the groups that are literally giving me business and I'm monetarily benefiting from those relationships and that allocation? Or is it opportunistic in the sense that I'm having an opportunity to co-market like I am today with these great professional women for an organization like AWWC? It's exposure. It's just, it feels good. It's professionally beneficial in a lot of ways. I may not see a literal monetary return on this investment, but it's valuable to me regardless. And the third prong for me is personal. I have clients who've moved on to areas in our space that they can't give me business for one reason or another. I continue to spend time with those people and feel it's worthy of my expenditure because I personally feel rewarded by it. We do our spa days, or we go to the winery, or we do whatever it is that we all want to do as professional women, sharing time, lifting each other up, and supporting each other in whatever ventures we're in the middle of. And it's interesting to hear Diane's perspective coming from a law firm versus, and Meg's kind of on her own island at the claims level, but versus Michelle and I, who literally our businesses encourage us to spend money to make money. And while I definitely believe in that principle, I also understand from years of experience, you can't spend money unless you're making money. So it's great to say, spend money to make money, put yourself out there, market those potential clients, reward your existing clients. And I feel like that's what I'm doing when I call it marketing to my existing clients. But you have to have, going kind of full circle, you have to have that plan in place and be fiscally responsible in order to have the revenue to go out and do that marketing.
Nicole, just one thing to piggyback on what Lynn just said, this is Diane, is that um, I had made a note to mention this, but I failed to do it, is that one of the things that I've invested time in is the Connecticut Bar Association, and specifically the workers' compensation section. And I feel that the time I spend working with the Bar Association on various committees has helped me to branch out, meet more people, and also get them to know me in a capacity other than just being a litigator. And it makes a huge difference when people work with you in that other capacity to develop relationships that will end up referring business to you or helping you in some way where they comment, yeah, I met this woman at the Bar Association. She does this, but she's very good at this. So you might want to talk to her. And you find that those relationships, extending yourself that way, makes a huge difference on the time you spend and the return you get when you do things outside of your immediate practice, so that you are on developing the law, trying to have a better practice overall, but also to develop relationships that are not within the immediate firm or your immediate practice, so that you can have long-term relationships where people will refer business to you that makes it worthwhile.
Thank you.
Point. Yeah, great point. Not to drill down on the point either, because I know Meg and Michelle still have an opportunity to weigh in, but Michelle and I do a lot of co-marketing. Again, opportunity, because we don't sell the same product, but our products are complementary to each other. And so we tend to have the same client base to some extent. And I'll let Michelle talk more about this, but she and I have done a number of co-marketing events because it's, again, that kind of that synergy, that opportunity, just to put yourself out there, elevate your value. I think it's just worthy.
And with that, Michelle, in your role, why is networking so important to the company's bottom line?
Yeah, well, so as I look at this panel here, like Lynn just said, we do a lot of co-marketing events together. I've met Meg through those. I actually just said at the beginning of this, I met Diane at one of her events just not too long ago. And being at these events, or even just these small little, maybe it's just a lunch to introduce somebody or introduce something new. It's amazing how it grows. The events that I actually just went to for Diane's the fundraiser that her association just held. I met so many different people, and again, on different levels. They're not just all doing what Diane does. You know, I met adjusters, I met people on the other side. There are so many different things that a marketing event can do or bring. And sometimes I might not maybe, get any business out of that necessarily, but then for the future, in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking of the things that maybe I heard at one of those events. What is the industry lacking, or what did somebody hear? What could Amitros do better? So the marketing and networking piece of my business is huge, in the fact of that it's not just good for one thing. And again, to touch on everybody else's point, it's really like the relationships that I have created in, the 10 years that I have been with Amitros is amazing. And that really is what networking is for, right? You meet people who can introduce you to people, who can introduce you to different ways of even doing things in your own business. So networking, I just feel like my job, it would be almost impossible to do my job without networking.
Awesome. Meg, from a claims professional, how is fiscal responsibility taken into consideration when calculating the exposure on a claim settlement?
Well, fiscal consideration is one of the most important things, and that's why I try to expand my knowledge and through the networking. Like, so when we're with Amitros, for example, when you have someone, when you're trying to settle a case and you need to have somebody come in and professionally handle an MSA and an annuity situation, getting out there and educating our insureds on what this will do for them, how this will benefit their claim settlement, how this will get their injured worker or employee in a better situation so that they have a good feeling as to why they're settling their claim or how their claim has been handled. So getting out there and educating our insureds as to what goes into a claim, how it has to be evaluated, why it's important to pay what you have to pay. Nobody likes to pay a claim, and usually no one's happy when you have to settle a claim. You're not having a successful end result on a claim if everybody comes out happy, because that's never going to be a good claim. So if nobody's happy, usually means that you've gotten a good result out of there. And that has to do with a lot of education and bringing in experts so that they can evaluate the case and we can get the best financial outcome for everybody.
Thank you. Lynn, why is brand recognition an important part of your ongoing business plan?
Well, brand recognition for me is huge. And, I would challenge any of the panel members to tell me that Ringler doesn't ring a bell. When I walk into a settlement forum, whether it's a mediation, a worker comp hearing, sitting down with virtually any attorney in the jurisdictions that I work in, which is essentially nationwide, Ringler just has its own recognition. So interestingly, over the years, and I've been doing this again for a lot of years, and it happens mostly locally, but I'll walk into a mediation, for instance, and the mediator will jump up and say, "Here's Lynn from Ringler." So interestingly, my brand, my personal brand, and my company brand have melded somehow over the years. I'm not even sure. I have mediators who still call me by my maiden name. So I'm not sure they even know. I've been married for 30 years, by the way. So I'm not sure that they really even realize, that they're doing that, because Ringler is what rings a bell for them. Nationally, Ringler spends a lot of time making sure that our brand is recognizable and that it equates itself with quality and honesty and integrity. And that's what we pride ourselves on. I also pride myself on those qualities. I'm genuine. I'm real. You're not going to get anything salesy or phony when you're dealing with me. And I like to think that that is really a reflection of my brand, and my brand is a reflection of me.
Michelle, is brand recognition something that you consider in your daily responsibilities, and why?
Yeah, absolutely. To kind of top off what Lynn just said, the brand part, okay, so it's a little different because Amitros hasn't been around forever. However, I have been with the company for, almost its whole existence. So the whole brand recognition now, compared to when I started, now people actually know who we are. They actually know that, Amitros needs to be part of this process that is moving forward, whether it's prior to settlement or post settlement. Most people, think of us as the post settlement professional administration company. But like Meg said, we're in there even before any settlement does happen. It is so important though, also because like we when we walk into a room and Amitros is there, whether it's our CEO, who everyone is like, oh, that's Porter's company, or oh, there's Michelle, she's our local rep, and of course, the women on here, they know me from being local. However, Amitros is really the brand has really grown significantly over the last few years. And it makes a huge difference because we have now made ourselves so different in the industry from any other competitor, which is really the brand recognition has really done that. I will say that. And Amitros might open doors that may not have otherwise been opened, for even just any part of the network, any part of our process. And when it all comes down to it, I would say that most people who really know what we do, we make healthcare easier. And so that is our brand.
Diane, is your firm name or brand recognition something that you feel brings business to your door? Please explain how you may find that to be a contributing factor when getting new clients.
There's no question that our brand and the name of the firm is resonating with the insurance companies, especially over the last several years. We have always been the kind of firm that we get a file, we review it, we analyze it, we make our recommendations, and we move very quickly to get the case resolved for the client, whether it is, 90%, 99% of what we do represents employers and workers' compensation, but we do have those occasional cases where we don't have a conflict and we can represent an injured worker. But on the whole, our firm is known as being aggressive in the handling of the files, not overcharging, being true to the time we spend on the files so that we are not overbilling clients. And that has come through with ringing results. In the last few years, insurance companies have gone to what they refer to as a metrics analysis, and they look at various factors of the performance of the firm. And based upon those analyses that the insurance companies are doing, we are coming out with numbers that are exceeding our competitors. And as a result, we're getting more and more business due to the fact that our metric analysis is so I don't know, top of the line, or I'm not sure how they phrase it, but we are getting because of the way we practice and the way we handle our files. And as Lynn said, our brand is, you're not going to get somebody here that's going to go through 3 days of explanation of workers' compensation so they can bill you for it. They're going to come forward right away with the facts of the case, what needs to be done. So we're very straightforward. We are always prepared. We know our files. We do not go into hearings without having done the work. And that is very obvious to the judges that we appear before. And we're assertive. We're not somebody that sits back and just lets the judge said this and the judge said that. We are challenging those positions and pushing our clients' interests, because we know at the end of the day, They are required to have workers' compensation insurance, but it's also a very expensive insurance, especially in this state. And as a result, we know that getting cases to the bottom line is the most important thing for them. So when we look at these files, it's like, we're not only are we looking what has to be done immediately, we're looking long term. Where is this going? And that has been the way we have always looked at files. That's the way we bring people in and train them when they join us. And it has definitely resulted, especially in the last few years, with our getting more and more clients because of the fact that our numbers show what we say. So we recently ran into a situation where lawyers from another firm joined us and they brought clients with them. And these clients were objecting in some ways, to the hourly rate we were charging because it was higher than the firm that was joining us, or the lawyers from the other firm that were joining us. And we said to them, give us a year. We'll prove to you that we can meet our numbers and you won't be disappointed with the results or the amount of money you're spending. And we have not only exceeded their expectations, we're getting more business as a result of it. So the brand for us has always been honest, straightforward, hardworking people that are going to look for the client's best interest, not for their own pocketbook. And it turns out that we are successful because of that.
And Diane, do you work with vendors that have that same cultural mindset?
Over the last several years, I've been working very hard to find those vendors to make sure that they have the same attitude that we have. As I said earlier, we provide a service for our clients, and I expect when I'm hiring people to provide service for us, that they provide the service as we do. And I have, for instance, we had an insurance broker that one year we had a major increase in our professional liability insurance. And I couldn't get them on the phone. I couldn't get an explanation, no email response, nothing. And I finally said, we're done. We found another broker who met our needs, and they have been tremendously successful in helping us keep our insurance costs down. Because obviously running a business, even though we're a law firm, we have to have workers' comp, we have to have liability, we have to have professional liability insurance, we have to have, protection for our 401k trustees. So there are tons of things that we need to hire vendors to do, and I expect them to provide the service to us that we provide to our clients. And when you demand it, it's amazing how people do come across people who want to do well by their business partners.
Thank you. Meg, do you feel that company brand recognition is important when efforts are made to retain the clients and insureds?
Absolutely. Brand recognition is really important at Arch. They support it with their core values that they preach or educate all the employees that come in. We go through trainings about, what our core values are and how we are as a company. And that is really important when we go out to the market, especially in the captive world and alternative markets, because we're out there trying to be partners with not only the captive members, but also with the TPA members and the brokers and the producers. We need to know, they need to know that Arch is a company that's going to support their endeavors, that they're going to be a team player with them, that they're going to work as a group to move towards the same common goal. And we're trying very hard, and we've been very successful in growing our business, both organically with our captives and bringing in new customers to the captive worlds. So brand recognition is a lot to do with that. It's out there that Arch understands captives and they're willing to work with partners, and then bringing in other vendors to help support their initiatives is also huge. So yeah, I do really believe that the brand recognition is really helping us grow our business these days.
And Meg, how do you invest into your capital resources or the people at Arch to have those cultures? What do you do to instill that in them, providing good service?
I guess it would be the training that we do. We do a lot of hands-on mentoring training here at Arch. Again, they stress their strong core values. They have this whole thing called the Arch experience. And that senior management really gets involved with the employees to know that, we're out there, they support you. They're trying to be as diverse and as equitable as they can. And then that kind of trickles down to the staff so that they all know that, they're supported. There's several opportunities to do mentoring, to do training, to get out there and grow your career the way you feel like you want to grow your career. It's a very inviting environment here, and the senior management is also very involved with growing that culture. So it works pretty well.
Thank you. Lynn, how do you instill training with branding and networking and getting the message across about how important, your skills are?
Well, that's a really interesting question, Nicole. As you know, I'm on the board of directors at Ringler, and that's a topic really the board has churned over for a long time, because there's an inclination when you have a sales organization that everybody kind of goes out and brands themselves individually. And we feel as though the strength of Ringler is a unified branding approach. We want everybody to carry the same card, to have that same door opening experience that I have when I walk in with my Ringler card. So personally, as far as training, because we have very small staffs typically in our local offices, there's not a lot of training that I personally do. Of course, anyone who's ever worked for me knows I have a certain quality expectation and I have a professional expectation. And, attorneys are called attorney unless they invite the employee to call them by their first name. So there's a lot of really maybe traditional ideas that I instill in my staff with regard to supporting the brand name. But again, nationally, it's always a challenge as a Ringler board member to make sure that everyone is aligned with that philosophy. It's super important.
Michelle, once an account is created, what efforts are made to ensure the stability of managed funds?
Yeah, so there are several things actually, quite a bit of things, but I'll just really touch on the most important ones. Um, the most important one actually is adjudicating the claims so that we can ensure that the funds are actually being preserved and spent correctly on items that are actually covered within the settlement agreement. So the last thing we want to do as a company is to be spending money for our members on things that are not part of the settlement agreement. The carrier, TPA employer, they put together a report for the future medical. So we need to make sure that those funds are being spent, that they're being spent appropriately. The other thing outside of that is we are always vetting our banking partners' financial stability. We have banking partners in and out, right? Some we've kept for a long time, and some we're onboarding new ones. We need to make sure that their stability is key. It has to be, top of the line. And then the other thing too is that we're always keeping tabs on the interest market as well. We need to get some strong returns. So that's how we are actually making sure that the funds are managed and they're stable. Because without those things, you just don't know what might happen, especially in these crazy markets too. So we do have a great team of people who really make sure that all of these things are number one and being done.
Lynn, at this stage in your career, does your successorship play a plan? Sorry, take that out. Let me start over while Lori cut. Okay. Lynn, at this stage in your career, does your successorship plan play a role in your ongoing business decisions?
Absolutely. So I'm on the back nine. I'm hoping to be done in the next 5 years or so, done working. And because I'm a business owner, I really have to pay attention to the stability of my business as I transition over to my successor. So because we're small business owners at Ringler, we have the opportunity to sell our businesses off. So there's a value to my business. But if I start tapping it for additional income and spending on things that I really don't need to spend on, the value of my business goes down. So successorship planning is very much top of mind for me, because I want to make certain that I'm posturing my business, my company, for a sale. I think that also, and not to be looked over, is the importance of making sure that the successor I have in mind is someone who will treat my clients, my most valuable asset, the same way I've treated them over the years, and give them the same level of attention and service. So it's very top of mind for me personally.
Meg, do you feel that networking is part of your company's business growth plan?
Yeah, I think networking is extremely important for our business, for growth. The only way to get out there and not only sell our business, but also bring in valued vendors that can help us grow our business as well. I mean, we obviously handle the claims, but we have to have partners that can handle the other aspects of the claims, the legal aspects, the case management aspects, the annuities aspects of the case. So if we need to have a good network in place, our clients want, choice, and that's why they go to a captive situation. They want to be in control. They want to have some voice in the handling of their files. So as we network and we can expand our services to them, then it'll just grow our business even more.
And Diane, does your firm have a plan for successorship? If so, what does that look like?
We definitely have a plan for successorship. The firm started by 3 attorneys who were contemporaries over 35 years ago. And what they started and what I became part of over 20 years ago was a firm that realized in order for us to continue, you need to have staged growth, meaning when you bring in new people, you're hoping that you're bringing in attorneys at various levels of practice, various age levels, from right out of law school to having been at other firms to having done other things, and they've decided to get into litigation. But we have tiers, we have age tiers, basically, that, as older partners have retired, there are already younger partners in the partnership that are learning. They're participating, they're growing while the senior partners are still there. And our firm is kind of unusual in that we have a buy-in, and our partnership agreement says what you have to do to join the firm as a partner and what you get when you leave as a partner. And so there's no question, there's no guessing, there's no fighting, there's no determination of who gets what when they decide to retire. It is all written in black and white once you sign on as a partner. So it's something you can make as a choice, whether you want to join the partnership or not. But it's allowed us to bring in younger partners who have an equal say in the operation of the practice. And that tends to go more to, do we want to keep working for this client? Do we want to bring in more clients? Do we want to hire new lawyers? And what are we spending on all of these processes? And they get to learn as they are seeing the older lawyers who have done some of this stuff ahead of them, and they grow. And so that once the attorneys that are older retire, the new ones or the younger partners are already in place to take over. And I have to say that I have, as I said, I've been with this firm for over 20 years, and we have had 2 of the named partners retire. We had no blip in the business. We've had other partners who were significant contributors, and the same thing. We have continued on without disruption. And I think that having that successorship built into the partnership agreement, where you have the old and the young working together, you end up having a continuum for clients so that they are getting what they need, what their needs are met, so that there's no break, so that as time goes on, they are introduced to the younger lawyers, they meet them, they interact with them, and they then feel confident that when the attorney that maybe brought them to the firm originally has retired, the next one in line has already been prepared to take over their business and keep meeting the needs that they have with regard to their workers' compensation litigation. So we've been conscious of this for years, and I think we have shown to not only our peers, but also to our clients that we can have experienced lawyers retire and we still have a solid book of business, a solid book of attorneys that will continue to be able to service the business that they're sending to us. So we've been very fortunate in having this plan, sort of hierarchy, but everybody, like I said, when you become a partner here, you are not a junior partner. You're not a middle-aged partner or a senior partner. You are an equal partner when you join the practice and as a partner, so that there's no hierarchy who gets what. We all share equally in what the operation is, and if it one year is not as successful, then everybody bears the same decrease. But most of the time, I have to say, we've not had to worry about that because it's not been an issue. So we've been very fortunate in the people we invested in by bringing them into the firm, and then also having various ages of our partners so that they've learned and then they can carry on the business when the senior partners or the senior aged partners retire. And as Lynn said, I am coming close to where I will be making the decision to stop actively practicing, but I feel very confident that I am leaving a business that the younger lawyers and the younger partners will be able to continue on and be able to be successful in their careers.
Thank you, Diane. Diane, looking back on your career, what advice would you give your younger self or a person entering into the workers' comp field?
You know, it's funny. When I started practicing law, when I went to law school, I wanted to um, litigate cases. I wanted to go out and meet clients' needs and help them out and do things that would make a little bit of a difference. Not that I'm not changing the world handling workers' compensation cases, but I feel occasionally when you have done something for a client that they didn't expect, it's very rewarding. You feel that your efforts beyond being paid have been recognized by the client. But the landscape is changing. It's interesting that we're not seeing a lot of the younger lawyers coming out and wanting to, excuse me, be business owners. The idea of actually having to manage a practice and worry about getting business and keeping clients happy is not something that they're doing. But I will tell you that if I went back to the days I made the decision to go to law school, I would still want to do what I'm doing today because I would be able to continue to make the efforts that are required in order to maintain a private practice if I wasn't happy doing what I'm doing. So I would go back and I would say, it'll be worth it. And, being a business owner and having that control and having success and being able to share that so that you can bring younger people into your business and have them grow and develop and eventually take it over. It's a rewarding thing. And I would encourage people that are in law school now even to consider the fact that working for a big corporation, and I'm not knocking it, but as a lawyer, there are some negatives to that because you are somewhat controlled. Whereas when you're in private practice, you are the manager of your own destiny and you can make or break it yourself. And I find that challenge to be rewarding, and I would encourage others to look into that as well.
Michelle, same question.
So what would I do different? Is that the question? I'm sorry.
It's looking back on your career, what advice would you give your younger self or to a person who's entering into the workers' comp arena?
So for my younger self, I actually would tell myself to get out there and start being more confident. Confidence was something that when I first started in the work comp industry, confidence, it took me a while to build. I'm being totally honest here, right? So what I would tell my younger self is just go out there. You fake it till you make it. people don't know. People don't know that, you might not be so confident today in what you're doing. I look back now and I say, how did I ever think that I couldn't come to where I am today within this company? Maybe it was because I came from a different field, but to tell my younger self is also another thing that I would tell myself is just embrace like every person that you meet in this industry. My the We call our customers members, or when they come on our platform. Um, Empathy is something that I've learned, and I'm not so sure that you learn empathy, I guess, but I've really embraced the empathy with all of the people that I have met over the last 10 years, as well as my great friends that I've met within the industry. It's a great industry because I think that we're all out there for the greater good, and I think it's the same end result for most of us. We just want the best outcome possible, whether we're an examiner, an attorney, or what my company does after the fact. So I
Thank
would
you.
just yeah.
That's awesome. May, what advice would you give your younger self?
I think my advice would be similar to Michelle's. I think I would um, have more confidence in myself, have more faith that I can do what I can do this. It's not something I think, I don't know, maybe a different generation 30 years ago when I started, I didn't really have the confidence or didn't really think that, my voice mattered. And I also wanted to see if I could do things differently, but I didn't speak up. I didn't do it. So now I think now I finally have come into where I can um, voice my opinion, and whether people like it or dislike it, you voice your opinion, and then people will respect it after a while. If you show that you care and you have some skin in the game, then they want to partner with you, and you will grow with that. So I guess I would just go back and say, you can do it. You can have a career in this, and you don't have to just sit back in the corner. You can get out there and use your voice and make a career out of it.
Thank you. Lynn, same
Oh,
question. Oh, sorry,
I
Diane.
was just going to chime in for one thing, and I can't echo enough the comments that Michelle and Meg have made with regard to confidence. When I first started practicing, there were not a lot of women in workers' compensation litigation, let me put it that way. But I learned very quickly that being very prepared, knowing the law, and knowing what your client's needs and wants were made a huge difference when I walked in the room. And years and years ago, when I first started practicing, my mother gave me this quote that I had framed and put up on the wall in my office. And it said, and please take this in the right context, I'm not slamming anybody, but it said, women have to work twice as hard as men in order to be considered successful. Unfortunately, or fortunately, that is not difficult. And I find that the women that I encounter most of the time in my practice, whether it is another lawyer, whether it's somebody representing a carrier, whether it's somebody representing one of the vendors we work with in order to accomplish the needs of the client, the women I've met in this practice are outstanding, and they have over the years shown by far that they are successful because they care, they're smart, and they're prepared. And there's nothing better than that. And that alone should give women the confidence to move forward as far as in this field of law anyway, or this practice of workers' compensation.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry.
No, thank you.
Not
Lynn,
at all. And I wish we could end right there because that was so well said by all of you, but I'm going to pick at some of the threads that I've heard here. When I started in the structured settlement space, I was 26 years old. I was sitting at a claims desk. I was using structured settlements in my claims settlements, but I was a kid. I was a young lady. I just didn't know what the world was all about. And I was brought on to a practice where very shortly thereafter, I was offered the opportunity to become an associate. At Ringler, an associate means you're a business owner. Again, it was back in the time where women didn't ask men to lunch or drinks or dinner, but I had to. I was one of, I think at that time, 3 women associates at Ringler. And it was a very challenging time. And I've never lacked confidence, for those of you who know me, but I had a learning curve there. I had a little uncertainty because I didn't know really where my place was. There was a lot of honey, sweetie, thank you for the drink attitude. And you have to overcome that. You have to know who you are, believe in who you are. And like Diane said, come prepared, shine, shine amongst the group. Be the one who has the answer, who is paying attention. And I don't think I would have done things differently, although our business has changed drastically over the years. But to somebody coming into our business, I'd say keep it real. You're not going to, rock the world in a month. We're not selling retail sales products. Our product is very specific and distinct. Believe in it. If you don't believe in the product you're selling, you're not going to be successful at selling it. Many in our accompanying space, I guess you would call it, life insurance companies, P&C companies have come over to Ringler thinking, this is easy. I can sell structured settlements. It's not easy. It's really at its core relationship building. And once you have relationships and you're honest and you believe in your product, that transfers over to your clients. So I wouldn't necessarily discourage somebody from coming over to our space, but I'd certainly ask them to take many looks at it and make certain that not only do they believe in the product that we're selling and the specific relevance of it, but that they also have the confidence to run their own business. Again, going back to my initial answer to the first question, there's strengths and weaknesses that we each have. And if you have weaknesses that you can't fill with other, say, employees or with training or, taking classes or trying to figure it all out, like maybe you need to learn how to give a speech and you have to take a class to do that. Do that. Believe in yourself. Grow. And I think at the end of the day, you can be successful in any of our businesses. But I want to say, what an awesome panel. And I appreciate each of you. Thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Final question to all. This is going to be Jeopardy style. While there's no winner here, everybody wins. That's a little branding. That.
I love it.
You guys can each hold up a sign or, a sheet of paper with a one-word answer to this question and just be prepared to briefly explain why you answer this way. What drives you to follow the career that you have chosen? Oh, they're kind of blurred out. Meg has.
Oh, no.
See?
Oh, wait. Here we go.
Oh, retirement. I feel like I need. Okay.
Oh, curiosity. That's a good one. This is actually my second word, although it's true. And retirement, I think, drives all of us. But really, my first word was, not surprisingly, based on my answers thus far, if you can see it. Nope, not yet. Relationships.
Mine doesn't show either.
Now, relationships. This didn't work out on the video we're in. Relationships.
Mine's not showing.
It's about all of the relationships we've made. And we've all talked about these relationships throughout this panel discussion. The relationships I've made with my peers and relationships I've made with my clients. Meg has been a valued client for 3 decades. Michelle and I are like sisters. We've just bonded with each other. And again, our products complement each other. Diane and I have had many, many years working together. I still use her drafted language on my worker comp documents, our annuity addendums. So I think that it is at the end of the day, it's all about relationships. And I don't know if that's because I'm coming from a sales organization that I feel so strongly about that. Not that I'm not driven towards retirement, because truthfully, that's really what I'm driven towards these days. But relationships are super important, I think, in any of our roles.
Meg, your word was curiosity.
That's
Mhm.
good.
Yeah, I love to learn new things, and I like to put myself in different situations. It's because I'm always curious. I mean, I've always been a curious kid, I guess, and just learning, meeting new people, and not not knowing about something, but taking the time to figure out what it's all about is just you just stay curious.
Awesome. Michelle, what was your word?
Mine was satisfaction. And at the end of the day, I am just so satisfied with the job that I am allowed to do because I feel really lucky doing the job that I do. I've been in sales for years and years, but this brings a whole different mindset to sales because I don't feel like I'm selling anything. I feel like I'm educating, and I love the fact that I get to work with injured parties, make them feel good. It keeps me satisfied. I could have gone to do other jobs, but there's nothing like at the end of the day when I've spoken to somebody and they are happy and they feel safe and secure. That's satisfaction to me.
Thank you. And
Wow.
My word was helping, but it really should have been helping others. Um, I was driven to go to law school because I thought if I could, with advanced education, help somebody do something or accomplish something in their life, then that would be very satisfying and worthwhile for me. And I actually ended up in workers' comp in a very odd way, but I can't say that it hasn't allowed me the opportunity to help a lot of people. And even when we talked about the fact that when nobody's happy at the end of a case, that usually that's the right settlement. But I will tell you that there are times, because of being aware of what my clients' needs are, the fact that they're always looking at the bottom line, that when I can do something that helps to facilitate the resolution of an issue or a case, and it satisfies the need of an injured worker, but it also accomplishes my client's ultimate goal. They I feel that at that point, I've done a very good job in helping both my client accomplish what they need, but also satisfy the other side's issues so that nobody's walking away from the table angry. I went to a law school that encouraged cooperation through our education process, and not to go to, pull a book out of the library and find out that the case you need to do your research is ripped out of the book. It was everybody worked together. And I look at what I do as cooperative, where I work with the employer, the insurance carrier, the opposing attorney, the claimant, and the judge, and you try to come to a resolution that accomplishes what the statute requires the employer to do. Don't overextend the employer's needs or assets or liabilities. And at the end of the day, hopefully you've accomplished helping both your client and the other side. And to a certain extent, the system, because if you move things forward, you're not bogging down the system so that cases can move quickly. So I've always been one to look to help others. And I think if most people that have worked with me would feel the same way. But again, it comes down to the bottom line and doing the right thing at the end of the day. And you do that, and I think you go home as Michelle said, satisfied that you've accomplished a good job.
Wow, thank you. And that's actually going to conclude today's webinar. I just want to say thank you to each of you for participating. I could talk to you guys all day long. If anybody has questions or comments, just put them into the chat and we'll get back to you. So thanks everybody and have a great day.